Good morning, Pak Agus and the Arise Plus team. Good morning, Mas Dharma, as the instructor for today. And also good morning for all distinguished participants. As all of us may aware, one of the important dimension of quality in statistics is interpretability. So by enhancing the way we visualize the data, it may help also the users to better understand and to better interpret the data. And by infographics and also motion graphics and video graphics, we may also be able to improve the visibility, not only our statistical product, but sometimes can be useful to improve the visibility of our organization or our activities as well. That's why since a few years ago, European Union to the project of Arise Plus have been committed to support us as well in enhancing the dissemination of ASEAN statistics, including this training, which has been done for the second time, Mas Eka. As Mas Eka has mentioned, this is a continuation of the previous training. And according to agenda, we may revisit what we have done in the first session, in the first training. And then we may ask the support from Arise Plus and the instructor for us to improve what we have done through the training, and also it can be useful for us in the future for better visibility of the statistics, both at national and regional level. So I don't want to spend much time. I would like to say our great appreciation again to Arise Plus team, to Mas Dharma particularly for this training, and hopefully our engagement, our cooperation will always be strengthened, so that not only for this training, but in the future, we can always have such a good collaboration and cooperation to be better in the future. And to all participants, please have a fruitful discussion. Please obtain the knowledge, the skill as much as possible. And again, this will be useful also for yourself, for your organization, and for the statistical dissemination in your country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Panang, for giving the opening remark. For the next opportunity, I would like invite Pak Agus as a representative from the Arise Plus. Pak Agus, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Dear participants from the member states, Panang and colleagues from ASEANstats, Pak Dharma, and all participants. Very good morning to all. On behalf of Paul Mendel, the Arise Plus team leader, I would like to welcome you to the second regional training on motion graphics for statistical dissemination. This is one of important training which probably has experienced the longest delay among all activities under statistics subcomponent of the Arise Plus. Yeah? But we all know that this training is not so important. On the contrary, this is very important, as you will see in my remarks later. This activity, entitled The Strengthening of the Scales on Video Graphics Part 2, as you may recall, started in July 2020 as a follow-up to the first training on video graphics, which concluded in April 2020, as Panang also mentioned. This part 2 is 2 tasks. Task number 1 is production of videographic presentation, and task 2 is second training on the videographics. The decision to postpone the second training, of course, has to do with the travel restrictions related to the COVID-19 pandemic. But as you know, primarily, it was due to our intention to make sure that we can provide meaningful added value to the skills you have gained through the first training. As you recall, task 1, production of videographics, has been completed very successfully, and the results was presented at the ACSS high-level forum in October 2020. And we have also seen excellent videographics presentation by the member states during the high-level forum, which were really satisfying to us, indicating that you have gained the skills from the first training. So therefore, we were driven to think of an approach of ensuring that these 3-day trainings would provide meaningful added value. We are pleased to know that the agenda and the approach taken for this training, as Pak Anang mentioned, will require you to learn from your past experiences and to identify rooms for improvement while also learning new skills for future enhancement. So this is very good. We know this is highly technical, but with your experiences and with the well-prepared agenda and training materials, and with Pak Dharma's high competence in this area, I'm sure that we will achieve the objectives of this training of ensuring that the skills we have gained will sustain to the future, so we will see it flourish in the future. So with this hope, I would like to end this RISE Plus remarks and have a fruitful training. Thank you and stay safe. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Agus, for giving the remark as from the RISE Plus. Okay, before we continue to the main agenda, I would like to ask you to turn your camera on. We will have a family photo. Okay, we wait a moment for another participant to turn their camera on. Okay, I think we have all participants with the camera. I will start to capture the video. Give your best smile. 1, 2, 3. The next page. One, 2, 3. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. Okay, it is the time for the main agenda. not only for today, but for the rest of the agenda will be briefed by our trainer, Mr. Dharma. So without further ado, I will invite Mr. Dharma to give your insight about videographic. Mr. Dharma, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Paika. Good morning, Paika, Panang, Pagus, Batari, and all Rise Plus and ASEANstats members. And good morning also for everyone, for all the participants from the various countries. Good morning. Thank you for the for this opportunity again. I think some of us already met, but I think there is a new participant also as well. I will share my screen first. Okay, so before we begin, maybe some of you that we already met in the first regional workshop on motion graphic for statistical dissemination. Before I think it is in February 2020. Now we already have the second regional workshop in this online training. So let me introduce myself before. So again, my name is Dharma. This is a little bit of my CV. I'm the co-founder of the Foxidia Digital Media. This is the multimedia company based on Jakarta. We handle all about the multimedia scope of work, from video animation, website, branding, and everything that you can name for multimedia, we can handle it. And I'm also a lecturer in Binus University and International Design School in multimedia major. I was an expert in World Skill and Asian Skill competition at Graphic Design Technology, TREP, from 2010 to 2017. And now I'm still at National Jury in Indonesia Skill Competition. That is the preliminary competition before the World Skill and the ASEAN Skill Competition itself. Okay, so that is a little bit of my introduction. Let me go to the workshop agenda. This is just a brief agenda that we will doing this in 3 days because the limitation of our workshop that we are undergone in online. So we just have 3 days and 3 hours to conduct each of the training days. So for the day 1, we will have like an in-depth review of each submitted video. Like Pak Agus said earlier, the video that we received in the ACSS video that is submitted by each of the countries, it's very good. I think it's already representable, but we will in this workshop, in this workshop, we will just aim to improve more. So even in the best video or the good video itself, it still have a lot of room to be improved in each of the scene. And in day 1, after we already have like an in-depth preview for each of the submitted video, we will also have like the software and the file preparation. Maybe some of you already have the access for the files, but again, later, I think in this session, the in-depth review, I think it doesn't take a whole day or this whole days for this session. So I think we have some time to get to know about the software and the files preparation. and also to prepare us for in the second day and the third day. So in the second day, we will have like the voice recording. So as I saw in the submitted video, there is maybe there is a video that haven't have like a voiceover. So in this session, I will try to give you more information about how we can get the voiceover video, voiceover sound, but in the practical way. So we don't have to record it ourselves, and we can have like a good and professional voice recording using the AI voice recording. There is a lot of AI voice recording out there, and I will just give you some example on how to use that one. And we will also use, we will also cover the asset preparation, this one. In this asset preparation, because we are using the After Effects, Adobe After Effects later on. The best way to prepare the asset and every image that can be used on the After Effects itself is using the Adobe Illustrator. So we will demonstrate on how to use the Adobe Illustrator and how we can import it into the After Effects and prepare it to, and then we can importing each file to the After Effects itself. And then maybe in the second day, we will go with the workshop for scene 1 to 3, because we will conduct some like an improvement from one of the submitted video, but not the entire video, because because the limitation of the times given for us to conduct this workshop. So I think we will just creating the scene from scene 1 to scene 7. That is the one that we can do. So in the second day, we will go into the workshop for scene 1 to 3, and in the day 3, there we will continue on to the workshop for scene 4 to 7, and rendering in After Effects. We will try to cover this one and the summary. And if we have some times, maybe if you have something that you want to, we will have some discussion. So maybe if you, for example, if you have something like on how to create this in After Effects and how to create that, or you have a sample reference on how a good video, but doesn't know how to make it in After Effects, maybe you can share it to me, and we will create it together. So I will just demonstrate to you how to create that one, and what can we achieve to create something like that if we have some time. Okay, that's it for the workshop agenda. The next thing is the contact. So yeah, you can email me in this one, or WhatsApp me in here if you have like a question after the class. Again, I will give this one again after the end of the day 3. But if you want to contact me after the day 1, day 2, day 3, you can contact me on this one. Okay, so let's begin the first agenda, that is the in-depth review of each submitted video. So in here, I already downloaded all the videos, and for this in-depth review, I will just play the video first from the beginning to the end, and after that, I will go through each of the milestone or the scene to give the comment what is good, what is already good, what it's need to be improved, and the overview review of the video itself. Because maybe we can learn from each other, from each of the video. What can we, what's the good, and what needs to be improved. Okay, the first one is the effects of COVID on enterprises' performance in Vietnam. I will play the video first. Okay, that's it, the video for the effects of COVID-19 on enterprises' performance in Vietnam. So my overall review for this one, I think the video is already looking good. Every story and every scene already have like its own story and the message that can clearly that already have a clear message for each scene. But I think the one that can be improved is the first one is the pace. I think if we have something like this one, all the text appear one by one like a typing, something like that. The viewer will have some time to to wait to read every sentence itself. So I think maybe this effect can be it's good if we not but to be put on the maybe for something that like a very small sentence. But if we have like long sentence like this one, the logo, the first one is the logo, in the logo, and this one, and the title of the video. I think it's better to have like a very brief animation for the text itself, so the people will see immediately what can they read in here. And then the one that we can improve again is the transition. So for each scenes, the transition is like there is no transition, like an instant transition. So the transition of the video itself is can help us to disseminate each of the scene itself. So sometimes when there is a transition, the viewer will not very shocked when it goes from one scene to another scene. Their eyes will be prepared. There is a next scene, and this is the continuation of that scenes. And this is also helped by using the same style of the icons and illustration. I think in this video, the illustration and the icons is good. It's already looking good. It's very straightforward. And I think there is some of the icons that, yeah, something like this. The garment, leather and footwear, electronics product manufacturing, and car manufacturing. This is a very good illustration. And for this one, having export activities, this one is already looking have a good illustration as well. And for something like this, each of the point for the like for 45.4% of the enterprise is like capital for production and business, and this is the illustration of it. I think this is already have a good illustration, but as you can see, the illustration is differ in each scenes, so they don't have like any similarity. The style is different. This is using the isometric style that is like a 3D, but without any perspective point. But in this one, it will be flat, going a flat one. And later on, we will have something like an isometric again. So sometimes when we use a different style, it will make our video like in different have a different scene, something like that. So the unity of our video from the beginning to the end is very important. Later on, I will give you some of the link. Maybe if you cannot produce the icon or the illustration itself, nowadays there is a lot of places and websites that you can use to creating or to have a very good illustration and icon that have like a very good similarity and unity. So that is also that I use for every project that I have. Sometimes I'm not creating all the illustration and the icon myself, but for if I creating something myself, maybe it's for the like a special cases where that we cannot find it in elsewhere. But if we have, we can have the that website or the place that we can search it. I think it will save us sometimes on the production. Okay. But like I said before, if we want to use like a different style, like this one is using an isometric, and then after that we will use like the flat illustration, something like this. I think it's fine, but as long as the looks on each illustration can have this the same spirit or the same style. As you can see in this one, we have like just two tone of color, like the black and the yellow in here. But in this one, we will in this case, it have a lot of color. There is sometimes that maybe we can have that unity by using the same color tone for each of our icon and illustration. And then for the typography itself, I think this kind of typography using the bigger font on the number and then the title, it already done it in every scene, something like that. But in here, it's using a different style. So something like this can detach this scene with the other scene. So maybe we can put this one in mind to have like a same style on each scene. So it will have the unity from the beginning to the end. Okay. And what else is, I think, yeah, the good thing that I see from this from this video is it's already have the clear message for each of the scene. It's not very crowded. It's not very a lot of information in one scene. So that is a good thing. So for something like this, we just have one message and just give the infographic in that scene to explain more about the title of that message, and it's done in each scene. So it have a clear message. I think that it's very good. But the one thing that maybe we can improve is the layout itself. So for the video, especially in the video, because all the things is moving. For example, if I just goes from here. So in that scene, as you can see, the first scene is having like the message on the bottom, and then the infographic on top of it. And after that, in the next scene, we see, it gets swapped. The message is on the top, and the infographic at the bottom, something like that. And after this, that one, sometimes where people already have the familiarity of the layout itself. So sometimes when the people see this one at first, in the next scene, they already have like some familiarity that this will be like the default or the template for the next scene. But when we swap something like this, we swap the text and the infographic, people will have to familiarize again for this one. So I think the best approach for this one is to use like the same template, something like that. And if we see something like this, it will get more focused because people tend to in the video, because everything is moving, so people will tend to look on the center of the layout that is in here. If we have something like in the very near the edge of the, like in edge like in this one in the bottom corner, it will get more scattered. So I think if we, rather than we have layout something like this, it will be easier for people to digest the information if we have it more on the center layout or position like this one. Okay, I think that is for this one, for this video, the review. So the good thing is, to summarize, the good thing is the use of the icons to interpret the communication or the message itself. The use of the hierarchy for the text. So for the one that we want to highlight, we can make it bigger. And the color tone, I think this is very important also, the color tone. So the contrast for the background and the foreground is very contrast and visible. And using this color tone, the color tone for each of the scene is already looking good. There is the legibility and the readability of each of the elements is good. It's already, we can see what is the background is, the foreground of each scene. Okay, that is the review for this video. Okay, let's continue on to the next video. This is for the Indonesia population census during COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, I will play the video first.
At the beginning of 2018, Statistics Indonesia designed a new method for Indonesian population census by combining traditional canvassing and population register data managed by Ministry of Home Affairs. We prepared risk mitigation for all aspects to identify some problems you may face in the field, even the worst ones. We also gained support from several public figures to increase publicity. But we did not prepare for the pandemic. On March 2020, World Health Organization or WHO stated COVID-19 as pandemic. At that time, online census was already taking place and supposed to be ended by March 31st. Indonesian government responded WHO by extending the special emergency case for the pandemic.
Pemerintah telah menetapkan COVID-19 sebagai jenis penyakit dengan faktor risiko yang menimbulkan kedaruratan kesehatan masyarakat. Dan oleh karenanya, pemerintah menetapkan status kedaruratan kesehatan masyarakat.
Hence, we responded by extending the online census period to May 29th. Handling the COVID-19 has caused a budget cut for government offices, including 74% cut in census budget from $299 million to $74 million. Or in other words, the budget went from $11 per capita to $0.28 per capita. We had to come up with a new plan. We had to design a new machine that can take us to our initial destination with much less gasoline. Initially, we have 3 stages for field data collection. First, population register verification, where a census taker checks on population register list with the head of neighborhood area to ensure that everyone living in the area has already listed. When the first job is done, we move to second stage, which is door-to-door verification. The third stage is individual enumeration, face-to-face interview for those who have not participated in the online census. Due to budget constraints, we decided to strengthen the first 2 phases, where our main strength lies. As for the third stage, we are unable to do our initial face-to-face interview using CAPI or PAPI due to the budget limitation. We decided to use document drop-off and pickup or DOPU instead, where on the field verification stage, our census takers will also drop the questionnaire for those who did not participate on the online census. The challenge here was to design an even simpler form that is easy to be understood. We decided to simplify the code used in the questionnaire. We realized the population census data is very important for shaping the future of Indonesia. So, taking all the challenges with us, we commit to produce an accurate and reliable population data.
Okay, that is the video for the Indonesian population census during COVID-19 pandemic. So for the overall review for this one, this video is already well made. It already have the well made, it's already well made video. It's already like all the sophisticated effects. All the message is clear. And the good thing that we can take from this video is the usage of the image, the photo itself. So sometimes when we creating something like an illustration, because we have maybe some have limitation that we cannot produce like the photography or else, maybe sometimes when we want to create something in the form of illustration, it have its own limitation. So for the message that can come through, the emotion, sometimes it cannot be well conveyed in the illustration itself. But if we use like the photo, all the photos, something like this, and the usage of the stock video like this, it will give us like more emotion side from this video. So yeah, we can use the use of the combination use of the video, the stock video, or the image, and also the graphic itself. So for something like this, there is a graphic and there is an infographic as well. Something like that. This is already, this can make a very good and dynamic video. And if I can review this one, the one that needs to be improved is like the variation of the scene itself. So as I mentioned earlier, there is something that all the unity in here is already very unite. As you can see from the beginning to the to end, it used every template that have the same style in each scene. But if we use it excessively and in each scene, sometimes it can be tend to be a repetitive, something like that. As you can see in this one, if I can play it from the beginning again. So this is the title that is very distinguished.
At the beginning of 2018, Statistics Indonesia designed a new method for Indonesian population census by combining traditional canvassing and population register data managed by Ministry of Home Affairs. We prepared risk mitigation for all aspects to identify some problems you may face in the field, even the worst ones. We also gained support from several public figures to increase publicity. But we did not prepare for the pandemic. On March 2020, World Health Organization or WHO stated COVID-19 as pandemic. At that time, online census was already taking places and supposed to be ended by March 31st. Indonesian government responded WHO by extending the special emergency case for the pandemic.
Pemerintah telah menetapkan COVID-19 sebagai
If we see from the scene one, this is the title, and then for each of the key message for each scenes, like the preparation of the population census, and then combined method, risk mitigation. Until this one, it used the same style. So to break the ice and to make the scene more dynamic, I think we can use something that like a different template for each of the scene. Maybe for something like this, the preparation of the population census, maybe rather than we use the same effect all over again, maybe we can use something like in this one to make the to comfort the eyes of the viewer. So as you can see in this scene,
sebagai
it's not
jenis
very
penyakit
dynamic,
dengan faktor risiko yang
but
menimbulkan.
the text and this one is looking. So there is like an there is like a rest for the eyes of the viewer. So sometimes it needs to be done. We don't have to become in each scene. We don't have to give like the wow factor. So sometimes the wow factor have to be toned down. So to create something, to create like the wow factor again in the next scenes. So we have to play all around the emotion for the video, up and down. So maybe we can use like a different template or something that more pleasing to the eyes. And then after that, we can make like more dynamic again, something like that. And from this scene to this scene, I think this is a very good example to have like a different kind of style for each scene. So people will have like like a roller coaster emotion rather than we just giving them the same thing over and over again. Sometimes it will tend to be repetitive. So that's maybe for this one. Yeah, because usually from the half of the video until the end, it will use the same thing. And I think with this kind of templates, we can also have like an insight message again, rather than we just give them like the title, but also we can give some insight maybe from the speaker itself or the voiceover. We want to have some text in here to help the viewer to digest more information in each of that scene. So sometimes when we just hear the voiceover, sometimes the message is not very clear. Rather than we already put the text also in here, it will help the people to digest the message in more clear way. Okay, I think that's it for my review for this video. So to summarize, I think this is already well made. The video, the message, the storyline, it's already good enough. The effect that already used in this one is very sophisticated. And the one that can be improved is maybe like the emotion on each scene. So maybe we can give people more dynamic template for each scene, so it will not tend to be repetitive. And the usage of the colors, I think it's already good. The choice of font, the choice of the layout, as you can see, it's all already centered. The layout is already centered, so it's easier for people to digest the information itself. Okay, that's it for my review for the Indonesian population census during COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, let's move on to the next video. This is the introduction to chain linking of real gross domestic product. Let's watch the video first.
What is chain linking of real gross domestic product? This video introduces you to the concept of chain linking of real gross domestic product. To begin, let's first understand the concept of gross domestic product, or GDP. GDP refers to the total value of goods and services produced within an economy. It can be goods produced such as refined petroleum, electronic chips, pharmaceutical products, or services provided by bankers, teachers, drivers, or doctors, for example. The GDP is widely used as a measure of a country's economic performance. Real GDP is GDP that has been adjusted for price changes. It is used to determine the real growth of an economy over time. There are two approaches to calculating real GDP: the fixed base approach and the annual chain linking approach. In the fixed base approach, real GDP is computed based on prices of a specific year, also known as the base year. The farther the period is away from the base year, the pattern of relative prices of goods and services become less representative of current economic conditions. In the annual chain linking approach, goods and services are revalued using the prices of the previous year. Combining the volume growth between the different base periods forms the chain-linked real GDP. This approach takes into consideration the changes in the pattern of relative prices of goods and services that occur from one year to the next, and can thus better reflect the current economic conditions. Let's explore the two approaches using an example, starting with the fixed base approach. Imagine an economy that comprises a factory that produces goods and a hotel that provides accommodation services. Setting 2015 as the base year, let's find out the real GDP in each year, using 2015 prices. Conceptually, real GDP in each year can be calculated by multiplying the quantity of all goods and services that are produced by the respective prices in the base year 2015. Here, we obtain the real GDP for 4 years, using prices in the base year. Now, let's plot them on a chart. Changes in real GDP from one year to the next can be expressed as a year-on-year growth rate. It is computed using the real GDP in a particular year and the previous year. These year-on-year growth rates allow us to analyze volume changes in real GDP across the years. How about the annual chain linking approach? In the annual chain linking approach, the goods and services produced in each year are revalued using the prices of the previous year instead. To illustrate this approach, let's return to the example. $210 billion worth of goods and services were produced in 2015. In 2016, $230 billion of these goods and services were produced. To obtain the volume change or growth between the 2 years without price effect, goods and services produced in 2016 are revalued using prices of the previous year. In this case, using 2015 prices. The volume change between the 2 years can now be computed. Let's try another year. In 2017, $240 billion worth of goods and services were produced. They will need to be revalued using 2016 prices in order for the volume change between 2016 and 2017 to be derived. The same goes for 2018. The volume changes between each pair of years can be combined to form a continuous time series of real GDP. The economic growth across the years can then be analyzed. Since the pattern of relative prices of goods and services that occur from one year to the next are taken into account under the annual chain linking approach, any recent changes in economic conditions are considered and reflected accordingly. For more information on annual chain linking of real GDP, visit www.cingstat.gov.sg.
Okay, that is the video. The overall review for this one, yeah, this video is very well made. As you can see from the beginning to the end, it's already using all the principle of the animation. It's already have like the good transition, the good layout. It's already everything. So I think I will just go review it one by one to see on what's good that we can copy from or we can get from this video. The first one is the symbolization. So for video to have like more interesting way to communicate or some message for maybe something like this, the chain linking, they already made the chain linking itself in the illustration. So sometimes like an explicit message or some explicit visual, some like this can help people to digest the message itself more easily. So as you can see in this one, actually this we just refer all the video as a video graphic, but in the terminology itself, it's called the motion graphic. So what can be interesting in the motion graphic itself is the motion. So everything should be moved or have a motion itself to make the video itself more interesting. For example, if we see something
As to the total
like this,
value of goods and services produced within an economy.
every scene, whenever it just goes
Goods and services produced within
static
an
like
economy.
this or idle,
It can be goods
as you can see, this one is
stand the
idle.
concept of gross domestic product or GDP.
It still have
GDP
elements that move or the elements that have motion to indicate this one is this scene or this video is still alive. So this this movement, the magnifier glass movement, is very good example on how we can create. Sometimes we will encounter the scene like this one that is idle and we don't have anything to be animated, but we can animate. Actually, we can animate
Let's
anything.
first understand
And
the
for this
concept
example,
of
this is
gross
the
domestic
magnifying glass.
product or GDP.
When it first appear, it just not appear, but it have like an idle animation. It will help the
GDP
the
refers
scene
to the
to
total
be alive, and also when it transition into the next scene, it will use the same element in here. If we can use
GDP refers
this
to the total
example.
value of goods and services
So
produced.
the transition from the one scene to other scene, it will be seamless, and that is something that we have to achieve to make the video to be seamless
within an economy. It can be goods produced such as refined petroleum.
And if you see this one, the animation from this scene,
it can be goods produced such as refined petroleum.
From the crane, it have like it using the principle of the animation that is already covered in the first regional training. To make the video or the animation more look lively, like in the real world, we will have like this principle that is the follow through. As you can see, the crane is not just moving from one point to the second point, but there is like a dynamic or like an organic thing to make it like to make this one has a velocity from one point to the second point.
It can be goods
that is
produced
using the
such as refined petroleum,
principle of the
electronic chips,
animation
pharmaceutical
itself.
products, or services.
And then, yeah, also in this scene,
Because teachers,
there is
drivers,
also a follow
or
through.
doctors, for example.
As you can see, when it popping out, it's not just popping out, but there is an organic effect or the organic animation that is follow after the object is already reached its stage. It will have
The
something
GDP
like
is widely used as a
organic
measure of a
animation
country's
on.
economic performance. Real GDP is
And
GDP.
the good thing that we that used in here is this: it using the same style over and over again, but it's not in the repetitive way. As you can see in here, it using this style for the animation of the title or the message.
GDP refers to the total.
And it used again in other scene to make it more unite. And also we can use this one, this example, if we have like an idle
Real
animation,
GDP is computed based on prices of a specific year, also known as the base year.
as you can see in here, we cannot have any animation again because the animation is already refilled or animation. So it will be idle. It just have like the voiceover over the animation in here, the scene. But as you can see, the effect taken in here is like the camera is zooming in very slowly into the scene in here.
Farther the period is away from the base year,
This
the pattern
small
of relative prices
animation
of goods and
is
services
maybe not very
become
noticeable, but actually in our eyes, it still have like a little bit motion that will help our eyes to see this is not like this is to give more life into the video itself. So sometimes this technique will help us if we have like an idle animation. We will use this one.
less representative of current
can use this one.
economic conditions. In the annual chain linking approach, goods and services are revalued
And this is also the good
In the
example.
annual chain linking approach, goods and
When
services
if
are
you want
revalued
to
using
highlight
prices.
something, literally we can use like the highlight animation in here to highlight the text itself. But maybe in this one,
Services. That provides accommodation services, setting 2015 as the base.
what can we improve in here is the layout itself. As I said earlier, if all the information is on the central or in the center of the scene, it will help the people to digest more. But in this one, this is the comparison between the goods produced and the year service provided. If we can make it side by side, it will help the people to digest the information in clearer way. Because if we are right now, we want to see it like this, people will have to hear the voiceover, and then their eyes will have to be divided into the left and the right side of it. Maybe we can rearrange the layout to make it more easier for the eyes of the viewer to see the comparison side by side, maybe in the center in here. Or maybe we can use the factory illustration. We will move it or swipe it in here. So again, and if we want to differentiate it, maybe we can use like other color for the goods produced and the service provided in here to make it to so the color coded to help the people digest the information in better way. But again, this in here, because it's using the same template for this one, and then for the comparison in the next scene or the other scene, it using the same one, people will have familiarity after this scene. After this scene, people will already have the familiarity. Oh, I see the goods produced is on the left side, the service provided on the right side, and when it goes recall again in the other scene, people will already have this familiarity. So it will help them to digest this one. So it will help people to digest the information if we have something like this one. So that is the good thing also. Okay, that is for the review. I will summarize it. So the use of this animated element in idle animation is very good to make your video or scene more lively, and you can use all the principle of animation, that is like the follow through, the frame by frame, or maybe like the velocity, everything that we already cover in the first regional workshop. Maybe I will reshare to you again the PowerPoint presentation, so you can look after that one. It will make the animation more lively, and also, yeah, this one to relay out the information in the center to help people to digest more, and highlighting the text itself, and the use of the same style to make a familiarity in the video itself. Yeah, I think that it's for the review of the introduction to chain linking of real gross domestic product. Okay, let's move to the next one. Let's play the video first. Okay, that is the video for the key future statistic production of law PDR. Okay, the overall review for this one is it's already have symbolized everything on the icons with the icons and the visualization. I think it's already good for that approach. The one that we can improve is the first thing is the unity of each scenes, because I think it's using a different font and different colors tone also for some of the scene. Maybe we can have like the same style in each scenes to make it more unite. And then maybe we can use like the contrast color also. So for example, like this one, the title, I think we can use like a different style for the title itself, or the color to make it more contrast with the background. As you can see in here, this is more contrast rather than before. And in this one, we use all in here, we can see it use a different kind of font. In this one, it using the serif, the one that with the kite in here. Maybe we can use we can use the sans serif font to make it more like a modern font kind of style. And also we can use like, as you can see in the video itself, there is a safe frame sometimes around here. So all the text and all the information should be on the inside of the safe frame itself, because when we see something that goes from this one, the top near the edge or something like this, our eyes sometimes will not see it more clearly. And because if we are going from we put the text in here and then the text also in here, the eyes will have to capture everything in a split sec in a matter of seconds. So it will harder for the eyes to digest all the information in here. So there is a safe frame sometimes around this one. So all the text and information should be on the safe frame itself. It will help us to make all the information to become more clearer, to be read and to be shown. And also for this one, because it gives the presentation of the population pyramid from 2015 to 2019, I think it's better to have like a transition for each of these each year. Maybe we can use the animation like from the 75 from here. If it change, it have like the animation of the bar graph rather than just cut out like this one, because people will it will be shocking for the eyes, because it have like there is no transition between each of the year. And also, maybe we can give people some of the delay of each of the scene. From each scene, the delay is very important to make the people digest the message first, and then we will transition it into the different scene. As you can see in here, the title, usually people will tend to see the reading or something that they have to see on the top left first, and then goes into the right side. And if they don't have nothing to see in here again, they will go diagonally in here. So sometimes that's why we will use the title on the left side, on the top left in here, or maybe on the center, on the top center, because we will direct the eyes of our viewer first at the top left, or maybe on the top left or on the center left in here, and then after that we will direct them to another information again, maybe in the bottom or maybe on the side of that one of from the scene itself. Okay, and in here, this kind of style is very different from the other style of the title, or the maybe some like the subsection in here. Maybe we can make it more similar with the other style to make it more like a design system. It have a design system from beginning to the end. And from this scene, from this scene into the end, I think it's gone quite fast, because maybe if we want to see if it going too fast or too slow, maybe when we try to preview it, we have to we have to read it ourselves in the normal pace. Is it already can be read all over or just partial? If it's partial, that means it is going too fast. But if we have like a lot of time when we finish reading it in the normal pace, and we have just a lot of time, that is going too slow. So to test it, if it's going too fast or not, or too slow, just when you preview it, just try to read it and put yourself into the viewer without any knowledge of the content itself. So it will help us to determine if it's going too fast or too slow. The same thing goes in here also. Okay, that's it, my review. So to summarize, I think that we can use the stem style in font, color tone to have a stem style from beginning to the end, and also put in mind for the save frame and everything for the layout can be centralized. The layout for the layout can be centralized, and give the transition and the delay for each of the scene, and try to see whether it is going too slow or too fast, and the usage of the icons and the illustration. I think this one is, or this video is already using the illustration and the icon quite well. Okay, that's it. The review for the key future statistic production of the law PDR. Okay, the next one. Let's see the video first. This is the Malaysia Statistical Insight International Merchandise Trade Statistic, IMTS. Let's watch the video first.
International Merchandise Trade Statistics, IMTS, measure quantities and values of goods that, by moving into or out of a country, add to or subtract from a nation's material stock of goods. Importance of IMTS. IMTS serve as a tool in assisting the government in formulating policies and monitoring economic performance, as well as for development planning, such as measure the openness of the economy, use in compilation of gross domestic products, GDP, describes the power of demand, and etc. Evolution of Malaysia's IMTS. Main source of data in processing Malaysia's IMTS is from the Royal Malaysian Customs Department. Malaysia's IMTS compilation began in 1949, where the data was processed using the manual custom form, and it was upgraded to electronic form in 1995. This modernization has reduced human error and saved data processing time in DOSM, where it is fully done on PCs. DOSM disseminates IMTS statistics through Maths Online, and it can be accessed anywhere, anytime, and with any device. Stakeholders of Malaysia's IMTS involve both local and international agencies. The time series data of Malaysia's IMTS. In the period 2010 to 2019, Malaysia's total trade continued to increase and reached Rm 1.9 trillion in 2018. In 2019, Malaysia's export amounted to Rm 995.1 billion, with a decline of negative 0.8% as compared to last year, while imports were Rm 849.4 billion, negative 3.5%, resulting in a total trade of Rm 1.8 trillion, negative 2.1%. In 2019, Malaysia's top 5 Asian trading partners were Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Publications of Malaysia's IMTS from year 2010 to 2020. Examples of publication of IMTS. Involvement of Malaysia's IMTS. Malaysia has chaired various working groups internationally, such as on Working Group on IMTS, BIM IAGA Statistic and Database, and IMTGT Trade, Investment and Tourism Database, as well as involved actively in the international meetings. Contribution of Malaysia's IMTS. Malaysia has also been an expert and trainer in training programs since 2015.
Statistics of International Trade and Services (SITS) refers to cross-border services transactions between Malaysia's residents and non-residents, and the services could be delivered either with or without cross-border physical movement of services suppliers and consumers. The importance of SITS. It is to measure Malaysia's international trade in services transactions, to see movement of services trading between resident and non-resident, and to identify main exporters and importers. The evolution of SITS compilation in Malaysia. Since 2010 onwards, Malaysia's SITS compilation adheres to the latest version of the Balance of Payments Manual. As technological developments starting to emerge, data collection approaches also evolve over the years. The stakeholders of SITS involves both local and international. The time series data of SITS. In 2019, Malaysia's services exports recorded an all-time high of 169.8 billion ringgit. The exceptional performance of exports has contributed to a narrower deficit on trade in services at 10.9 billion ringgit, the lowest since 2015. Malaysia's top 5 trading partners of ASEAN for services in 2019 were Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, Brunei, and Vietnam. The evolution of SITS dissemination in Malaysia. The SITS publication has been released for internal circulation with transport and communications components since 2008 to 2014. This publication has been released to public since 2015 till date. In 2020, the SITS publication consists of an article box on services. The department also released the first report on mode of supply for limited circulation. The involvements of SITS in Malaysia. The department also actively involved in international events. The contribution of SITS in Malaysia. The department also contributed several training courses internationally and locally.
Assalamualaikum and very good day to everyone. On behalf of the Department of Statistics Malaysia, the OSM, I would like to extend my best wishes to ASEAN Community Statistical System for the great 10 years of a successful journey. It is undeniable that statistics become the ultimate needs of various industries in the world, especially in measuring and monitoring the 2030 Agenda achievement towards leaving no one behind. The establishment of ACSS has uplifted the competencies which subsequently strengthening the national statistical system of the ASEAN member states AMS. The ASEAN Help ASEAN initiative is one of the best platforms to foster meaningful relationship and enhance AMS capabilities. We have come a long way to be where we are today, and we still need to strive for the better tomorrow of ACSS. On this blissful day, I would like to wish ACSS all the success for many more years, and once again, happy 10th anniversary ACSS.
Okay, so this video is quite long and very
Moving into or out of a country,
with the heavy message also. So sometimes when we encounter something like this, the thing that we need to put in mind is the duration itself. So we have to make the duration as compact as possible, and also the pace of each scene. We have to put in mind the pace and the transition also. So the overall review for this one, I think this is already all the message is clear. All the using a good combination also for the icons, the image, the stock video, and everything is already put well together. All the information, all the image, all the photo, the message, the scene, it's already put well. But for some improvement that can be made is the first thing that I noticed at first
Describes the
is
power of the
timing for each the timing of the transition of each scene, because
Malaysia's
as we can
IMTS.
see,
Main source of data in processing
yeah, for
Malaysia's
something like this,
IMTS is from the Royal Malaysian Customs Department. Malaysia's
or
IMTS
maybe
was billion in 2000. IMTS involves both local and international agencies. The time series data of Malaysia's
as you can see, the timing, people sometimes need to have like a delay in each scene, especially for this one, because the animation itself is already have a fast pace,
involves both local and international
but
agencies.
sometimes maybe we can add 2 to 3 seconds delay before we cut out or we move into the next scene. Sometimes it will help the viewer to digest the message first, because they just revealed in here, and after the refill we have to give the eyes of the viewer to rest a bit before we move on to the next scene. That is for the overall things. I think there is a lot that have to be added, and yeah, it means it will have added also for the total of the duration itself. Maybe it will get more like 1.5 times than the one that already made, but sometimes it needed to have something like that to make the video not to have like a very fast pace, but in the normal pace, something like that, so people can digest more and more. And the other things that can be improved is using the save frame also for every scene, so we don't put it on not put it on the top bottom or the top left edge or near the edge like this, but we can centralize all the layout. But the other things from this video, I think is already looking good, but just maybe the layout for this one, maybe we can put it on more center, in the center layout, so, or maybe in the smaller one, not too big. And also for this one, maybe we can squish it, so it doesn't have to be, people don't have to see it from the edge to the edge. And if we have something like this, maybe it's better to have like a very clear background or like a blocking background, because people will have to see a lot of data in here, and sometimes the background, or if we have something,
169.8 billion ringgit. The exceptional performance
some background like that one, maybe it kind of distracting the people to see. So the usage of the blocking background is sometimes, if we have a lot of information already in our scene, we can combine it with the blocking background. And also for this one, yeah, we can have like a save frame on it. Yep. Okay, that's it for my review for Malaysia Statistical Insight, International Merchandise Trade Statistic, IMTS. Okay. let's move into the next one. Let's watch it first. Okay, that's it for the video for the NSO Thailand. I think this one is the overall review. All the icons and the storyline is already well met. All the illustration and icons, it using the same style, and also the color tone itself, it's very distinguishable from each color tone. So, and it's used over and over again to make the unity from the entire scene from the beginning to the end. Maybe I don't have any inputs in this video. Just use the save frame, so we don't have to all the information or the layouts not to be it's already centralized in the layout and not to very scattered. And maybe we can use like a hierarchy for the layout in each scene, because as you can see, the title and the infographic itself, sometimes it's not very distinguishable. For example, like in this one, I think we can have like a bigger title in this one, a bigger title and have it on the same style for each of the scene, so people will see it, that is the place and the style for the title itself. Maybe we can make it the font to become bolder, bigger, to differentiate it with the other elements in each scenes. Yeah, I think that's it. For the animation, for the transition, I think it's already looking good. So that's it, my review for this video. So to summarize is the use of hierarchy on the title and using the safe frame and centralize all the layout to make it in the better layout. Okay, that's it for this video. Okay, the next one, I think this is the last video before we take a break. Okay, this is the SDG implementation and the localization way to Myanmar Sustainable Development. Okay, let's see the video first. Okay, that's the SDG implementation video. So the review, the overall review for this one is it already have a clear storyline from the beginning to the end, to talking about the SDG and MSDP in the Myanmar sector. The things that need to be improved is the usage of the visualization or the symbolization, whether it icon or illustration that can tell more about the message itself, the story itself in each scenes. Because if we just go with the text itself, sometimes it will harder for the viewer to imagine and how to visualize the message itself. And then again, for this one, the usage of the save frame is we can use the save frame, so to not make all the content to be on the centralized, and people can see the clear message for it. And maybe we don't create too many distraction. For example, like in this one, I think the animation or the blinking animation, it's not very necessary, because it will give the distraction or the message itself. Maybe we can use something like maybe the map itself will get bigger slowly, something like that, to give the animation, to give the life of the animation itself, but not distracting the content, the main content itself. And then, yeah, the usage of icons is very useful in here. And also we have to put in mind for the font size, whether it can be readable or not. For example, something, if we already on the small small version of it, we cannot see clearly what the text is. So the readability and legibility of the content itself is very important. And also maybe the pace of it. But I think this is a good example to transitioning. So for this one, it transitioned from this one to this one. I think this is a good one. But maybe if we have something like this, maybe we have to rethink about the color tone. So sometimes when it's not very contrast like this one, the MSDP, 3 pillars and 5 goals and strategies and action plan, it gets less attention than the others. But as we can see, this is the main thing. So this is the main thing. So we have to maintain all the hierarchy also. If we have something like a diagram in here, and the readability also for this text and this text, maybe we can choose the right color tone for each of the message itself. And we can try to visualize also on the SDG implementation in here. I think this is a good example if we want to illustrating something from this one. So the story itself will be told using that illustration. I think that will be a good example, rather than just giving this text, because people when see text like this one, it will take more time for them to digest, rather than seeing the illustration, or maybe like the declining or something like this. Manage sanitation. Yeah, we just highlight the 83% and then the text of it. It will help people digest the message in here more easily and faster. Okay, I think that's it for this video. So to summarize, I think the usage of the icon and illustration is very useful to demonstrate the storytelling, and then choose the right animation so to not distracting the content itself. Yeah, that's it. Okay, because it's already 11 p.m. in Jakarta times. Paika or Batari, are we going to have a break first?
Yes, I agree. I think we can have a 10-minute break. Yeah.
Okay.
So we can meet again at 11:12.
11:12.
Yeah.
Noted, Pak.
Okay. Our colleague, we meet again in next 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dharma, you can continue.
Okay, thank you, Pak Eka. Okay, let's continue. We still have 4 videos again to be reviewed. Hopefully, in the given time, we will finish it. Okay, now for the Philippines towards achieving 2030 agenda. Let's see the video first.
The UN member states, including the Philippines, have pledged to leave no one behind and committed to disaggregate data by income, sex, age, race, ethnicity, migratory status, disability, and geographic location. The pledge to leave no one behind is a commitment to end extreme poverty in all its forms and to act explicitly to ensure that those who have left behind can catch up to those who have experienced greater progress. The pledge also means that all governments must chart a new course aimed specifically at curbing inequalities between people, groups, and places. To realize its objective to come up with the initial list of Philippine SDG indicators, a series of consultations and validation workshops were conducted in partnership with the National Economic and Development Authority, NEDA, with funding support from the UNDP. The initial set of SDG indicators identified consists of 17 goals, 97 targets, and 155 indicators. Through the PSA Special Order 2017-02NS-0329, the SDG team was created in order to carry out expeditiously the responsibilities of the Philippine Statistics Authority as the official repository of the SDG indicators in the Philippines and to promote an efficient and effective implementation of activities for the SDGs at the Philippine Statistical System in pursuance to PSA Resolution 4-2016. Moreover, the Philippine legal frameworks through the different PSA board resolutions have been laid out for the institutional organization for SDG data. PSA as the official repository of SDG indicators in the Philippines and to provide progress reports to NEDA. Approving and adopting the initial list of SDG indicators for monitoring in the Philippines. Enjoying support of the PSS for the implementation of the Cape Town Global Action Plan for SDGs, National Data Flow and Reporting System, approving and adopting the core regional indicators, and the adoption of the UNESCO SDG measures and time distance measure in tracking the SDG. Meanwhile, the establishment of the SDG indicators focal points strengthens the interagency cooperation to meet the challenges posed by the SDG monitoring through the compilation of designated SDG focal points for each agency to facilitate smooth coordination of information exchange and ensure efficient annual updating, monitoring of SDG indicators. The SDG-IFP paved the way for methodological developments of SDG indicators and efficient updating of the SDG Watch and database. The global SDG indicators have been advocated through the PSA Central and Field Offices, local government units, workshops, academia, SDG on disaster risk-related indicators. 5 years have passed and 10 years more. The Philippines has reached this far in terms of attaining the 2030 SDGs. The proportion of poor Filipinos decreased to 16.7% in 2018 from 23.5% in 2015. In 2018, 30% of Filipino children under 5 years old are stunted. In 2018, 84% of births are attended by health-skilled personnel. Reported deaths of the Filipino children under 5 years of age reached 27% in 2017. Parity indices for all education indicators on this list that can be disaggregated. Almost 53% of the Filipino women worked in managerial positions in 2018 and gradually increased from 46.6% in 2016. In 2018, 92 out of 100 Filipinos have access to electricity. Annual growth rate of real GDP per capita. Unemployment rate by sex, age. The number of commercial bank branches per 100,000 adults in the Philippines was reported at 16.4 in 2018. The number of ATMs per 100,000 adults gradually increased from 21.6 in 2013 to 28.4 in 2018. Growth rates of household income per capita among the bottom 40% of the population and the total population. Labor share of GDP comprising wages and social protection transfers. Together, let's move forward, leaving no one behind.
Okay, that's the video for the Philippines towards achieving 2030 agenda. So the overall review for this one, yeah, I think the usage of the icon, illustration, image is already looking good. The one that can be improved is the one that I noticed is the pace. I think the pace can be a little bit faster to make so there is no gap, silence gap between each of the scene itself. So to make it more seamless, transitioning from one scene to another scene. That is my main comment. The next thing is, yeah, I think that is still the same as before. We can use the save frame, so to centralize the layout of each scenes, and the usage of the color tone, I think is already applied well in this video. All the colors, all the text is very have a good credibility, legibility, but But maybe for something in here, maybe we have to put in mind also if we want to overlapping each of the elements, because if we overlapping something like this, sometimes it will make everything cannot be seen. So maybe we want to rearrange, or maybe, for example, if for after this animation, maybe we will shrink this one into the top left corner in here and give the SDG database and the SDG Watch Philippines on the left side, so it's not overlapping each other. So the readability and legibility of each of the elements will be good enough. But I think, yeah, the other things, maybe try to use the same style of illustration. For example, this one and this one is very different. And I think this one is very more suitable with the theme of the video rather than this one. Okay, something like that. So that is the review for this one. So to summarize is use the a little bit faster pace of the animation, and then the save frame also, and try to not overlapping the elements, and use the same style of icons and illustration. Okay, that is for the Philippines towards achieving 2030 agenda. The next one is the understanding foreign direct investment. Let's see the video.
Understanding foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment, or FDI, refers to a long-term investment by an investor in an enterprise in another economy, resulting in lasting interest with significant influence over the overseas enterprise. FDI typically occurs through mergers and acquisitions or setting up of business operations by the investor in a foreign economy. The investor is known as the direct investor, while the overseas enterprise is known as the direct investment enterprise. For example, when a company based in Singapore invests in an enterprise domiciled overseas, the Singapore-based company is the direct investor, and the overseas firm is the direct investment enterprise. The transactions captured will be recorded in Singapore's outward FDI. Conversely, inward FDI is recorded when a foreign direct investor invests in Singapore. How is FDI measured? FDI is measured by the sum of three components. Equity capital, invested by the direct investor in the direct investment enterprise. Retained earnings accrued to the direct investor, which are earnings generated by the direct investment enterprise after deducting the dividends payable to the direct investor, and net intercompany loans between the direct investor and the direct investment enterprise. FDI is typically positive, but in some instances could be negative, such as when the value of loans from the direct investment enterprise to the direct investor is larger than the loans from the direct investor to the direct investment enterprise. For example, a Singapore-based company's outward FDI in another economy in the ASEAN region will include the equity capital invested by the Singapore-based company in an enterprise in that ASEAN member state, retained earnings recorded by this enterprise, as well as net intercompany loans between the Singapore-based company and the enterprise. Let us visualize how FDI can change over time. In year 1, Company X, which is based in Singapore, invested $50 million in equity capital in Company Y, domiciled in a foreign economy, resulting in Singapore's outward FDI stock increasing from $0 to $50 million by the end of the year. In the following year, another $10 million is invested in equity capital, raising the FDI stock to $60 million as at the end of year 2. In year 3, Company X lends $40 million in intercompany loans to Company Y, raising Singapore's outward FDI stock to $100 million as at the end of year 3. With $10 million in earnings at the end of year 4 and dividends payable amounting to $4 million, the FDI stock at the end of year 4 stands at $106 million. What are the benefits of FDI? The host economy benefits from FDI through job creation as well as knowledge and technological transfers. For investors, undertaking FDI helps them build distribution networks and gain access to new technologies or natural resources. Singapore's inward FDI has grown considerably since the early 1970s. Foreign multinational enterprises have been actively investing in Singapore, which contributed to our economic expansion over the years. As Singapore's economy grew, outward FDI has become increasingly pivotal to our growth strategy. More companies based in Singapore internationalize to seek new opportunities abroad. For more information on foreign direct investment statistics, its related concepts and methodologies, visit www.singstat.gov.sg.
Okay, yeah, this video is also very well made of. The icons, the animation, the transition, the color tone is very good. So I will just point out what can we learn from this video is the one is the color tone. As you can see, if we want to differentiate something or we want to highlight something, we will use another color that very contrast with the other elements. For example, like this one. So this color is called in the color harmony or in the color theory, it's called the complement color. So the complement color is the color that is across in the color wheel. So if we see the color wheel, maybe I can give you some insight for the color wheel, something like this. So this is the very simple color wheel, but maybe if you want to see another color wheel is something that use a lot of color, maybe something more like this one. This is the color wheel with all the possibility of color, but this is the most simple color wheel, so I will use this one. So the complementary color is the color that is across the color itself. So for example, if we use something like this, the blue color, so the complementary of this blue, if you want to highlight something that goes with this blue background, we will use this blue. We will use the color across it, and this is the complementary color. So sometimes when we using, if we want to use a contrast color, you can use the color, the complementary color. And to achieve this complementary color, we don't have to use this one, but maybe if you want to, you can use like the color wheel or the color, you can search for the color harmony generator. This one is from the colors.co. And in here, we can choose the best color, for example, like this blue, and we can search for the complementary color, the analogous color, to have a color that more pop out. So we can choose the color. Maybe it's still loading, so we will get back to it later. And the other one is, yeah, the usage of the this one. this scene is a good example if you have like a long story that you have to tell, but you still need like the comparison. You can still use the same in the same scene like this one, but to make it more interesting, just animate it using the symbolization or the visualization rather than just a text or a voiceover. And the next thing that I want to point out is the usage of the icons or the illustration. So sometimes when we creating some things, some illustration or some icons, we tend to create it like more or use it in like a detail icon or illustration. But if we want to use that one in a small version or in small sizes like this one, all the details sometimes will be disappear from that one if we use a small version. So if you will use it for like a small version like this one, maybe you want to use like a very simple icon rather than using this detail one, because all the details, when it gets smaller in sizes, sometimes it will disappear, and it will make the icons or the illustration cannot be easily distinguished as the one that we want to be look at. So just put in mind, if you put it on the small version or the small sizes, use the simple one. But if you want to make it on the bigger sizes, maybe you can use like this detail version of the icons, something like that. Okay, yeah, I think everything in here is already looking good. There is not much improvement needed in this one. The storyline is very clear. The color tone is very good. The usage of the icons, typography, layouts is already well made. Okay, so that's it, the review for understanding foreign direct investment. Okay, let's go to the next one. It's already open, so I will just show you. So just if you go with this, go to the start the generator. Oh, sorry, this one is to create the palette color. So if you want to have like a palette color generated, you can use this one. But for the color harmony, I think let's see, color harmony generator. I think it should, this one, this session.edu color wheel, color calculator. You can use this one. Okay, let's wait it for to be loaded. Let's go to the next video first. This one is the understanding the Gini coefficients. Let's watch the video first.
What is Gini coefficient? Household incomes vary from one household to another. The Gini coefficient measures the spread of household incomes across all households. To understand the Gini coefficient, we start with the Lorenz curve. This curve shows the spread of household incomes plotted on a chart. Households are first organized according to their respective household incomes, from the lowest to the highest. A line is drawn through the points where the cumulative proportion of households is plotted against the corresponding cumulative proportion of income. This is the Lorenz curve. If every household has the same income, the Lorenz curve lies along the 45-degree line. This is known as the perfect equality line, where the household incomes of all households are equally distributed. However, if one household has all the income and others have zero income, the Lorenz curve is flat at the horizontal axis before it rises to 100%, where all the income is earned by one household. This is known as the perfect inequality line. How do we calculate the Gini coefficient using the Lorenz curve? Let us call the area between the perfect equality line and the Lorenz curve as area A, and the area under the Lorenz curve as area B. The Gini coefficient is calculated by taking area A divided by the sum of areas A and B. The Gini coefficient varies between the values of 0 and 1. The Gini coefficient is 0 when the Lorenz curve coincides with the perfect equality line, which reflects perfect equality. As the Lorenz curve moves further away from the perfect equality line, the Gini coefficient increases, reflecting greater uneven spread of household incomes and subsequently greater income inequality. The Gini coefficient is 1 when the Lorenz curve coincides with the perfect inequality line, which reflects perfect inequality. The Gini coefficient is used as a measure of income inequality by countries around the world. However, comparing income inequality across countries using Gini coefficients is not straightforward. This is because different countries may use different equivalent scales, household income definitions, and household coverage. What are equivalent scales? Equivalent scales are used to adjust household incomes, allowing us to compare and analyze households with different compositions and sizes. Equivalent scales take into account the needs of a household increase with each additional member, but not proportionally so. For instance, a household with 1 member uses 1 unit of electricity, but another household with 4 members may not necessarily use 4 times as much. There is a variety of equivalent scales, and different countries may use different scales. Examples of equivalent scales include the per household member scale, modified OECD scale, and the square root scale. To explain each of these scales, let us take the example of a household with 4 members, comprising of 2 adults and 2 children, with a total household income of $4,000. When using the per household member scale, the household equivalence value is the number of household members. The equivalized household income is calculated by dividing the total household income by the equivalence value of 4. The equivalized household income is thus $1,000. When using the modified OECD scale, the household equivalence value is calculated by assigning 1 point to the first adult, 0.5 points to each additional adult, and 0.3 points to each child. In our example, the household equivalence value is 2.1, giving us an equivalized household income of $1,905. When using the square root scale, the household equivalence value is the square root of the number of household members. In this example, the equivalence value is 2. The equivalized household income is thus $2,000. Internationally, there is no standard equivalent scale recommended for general use. For more information on the Gini coefficient and the key household income trends in Singapore, visit www.cingstat.gov.sg.
Okay, that is the video. So the general review is, this one is already well made. This is the same as before. It's already using all the principle of animation, the follow through, the the follow through, the exaggeration, the velocity, everything already in there. So every animation is looking good. The one that maybe I want to point out or maybe we can learn from this one is if we have some text or some animation that we want to highlight, as you can see, they use a lot of things that the after animation.
These
Something
may
like
use
this.
different equivalent scales.
That is to highlight
Household income.
the things that we want that just said in the voiceover. We can use that one. And also all the colors, tone that we use in here is already looking good also. So yeah, that is for the general review. I think there is not much that that I can be input in for this one, because this is the same as before. It's already well made. We can see the good things from the color tone, the type of the animation that we use, the transition of each scenes, and how they can animate each of the animation or each of the elements to make it more interesting. Okay, that's it for the understanding the Gini coefficient. Let's go to the last video. Let's see it first.
Supply and use tables organize all the transactions between producers and consumers in an economy. The Singapore economy is made up of many industries, each producing its own specific set of goods and services. As a small, open economy, Singapore relies on imported goods and services to meet its needs. These goods and services can be purchased by industries as intermediate inputs for production, purchased by industries and used as fixed assets, purchased by households and the government, or exported to other countries. All these transactions are recorded in the supply and use tables, which provides answers to 3 key questions. Who produces what types of goods and services? Who purchases what types of goods and services? And how much value added is generated in the process? Let's see how these questions are answered using the supply and use tables. The supply table shows the supply of various goods and services that are either produced domestically or imported from overseas. In other words, it answers the question, who produces what types of goods and services? Products are shown in rows, while the domestic industries and imports are shown in columns. The use table lists the products in rows. Industries, households, government, investment in fixed assets, and exports are listed in the columns. It answers, who purchases what types of goods and services? The use table also shows the value added generated by each industry. Value added consists of wages paid to employees, taxes on production, and the industry's operating surplus or profits. Using an example, let's see how the various transactions are recorded. Singapore's oil refineries import crude oil to produce refined petroleum products such as jet fuel. Imports of crude oil supplied to the refineries are recorded in the imports column of the supply table. Purchases of imported crude oil by the refineries are recorded in the use table. Refineries also purchase and use other inputs such as chemicals and electricity. These additional inputs are recorded in the use table under the oil refining industry column. The refineries use these inputs to produce various refined petroleum products. The transactions are recorded in the supply table under the oil refining industry column. These refined petroleum products are supplied to various groups of consumers. For instance, households purchase petrol for their vehicles. Airlines purchase jet fuel, and diesel is exported to overseas markets. These purchases are recorded in the use table. Jet fuel in the airlines industry column, petrol to households in the households column, and diesel in the exports column. In addition, the oil refining industry also pay wages to their employees and taxes to the government. The value added of the industry can be derived from the sum of wages, taxes on production, and operating surplus. The Singapore economy consists of many other industries such as food manufacturing, financial services, medical services, and retail. The supply and use tables can also provide insights on the impact of demand and supply changes in the economy. For example, during school holidays, many families travel abroad, increasing the demand for air travel. The airlines respond by increasing the number of available flights, which in turn increases the purchases of jet fuel and other goods and services. This stimulates a sequence of production activities that impacts each industry's supply chain. The supply and use tables allow us to estimate the goods and services required to meet these additional demands. In summary, supply and use tables systematically organize every transaction between producers and consumers. They can be used to capture the complex economic environment and the impact of changes on the economy. For more information on the supply and use tables and the types of analysis that can be performed, visit www.singstat.gov.sg.
Okay, that is for the last video. So for the general review is, I think this is also the very well made video. But the one that I want to point out is using the same style on each scenes. As you can see, the style of this video is using like the brush, like the wet color brush in here, and it applies in all the illustration and some of the illustration in here. So to make it a unite video, before we make a video, we have to determine first what style that we want to use, what style of the illustration, what style of the typography, what style of the icon itself, and we have to commit to use that kind of style that we already defined at the beginning, to use it on the entire video to make it one unite video style like this one. So before we begin our animation or our video animation, we have to define that one first. And to define that one, maybe we can search for the reference, we can search for the style in other video to make it as a reference for our video. So in that way, we will make a unified style in our video like this one. I think there is not much that I want to put input for this one because it's already well made. Every color, style, and how it's tell the stories, it's already well made and looking good. So yeah, that's it for my review for the what are supply and use tables. Okay, let's close this one. Yeah, this let's back to this one first. So if you want to have like select the color, because sometimes selecting the colors will have it on time consuming. So if you want to have like a very combination of color that can be used in your video, maybe you can use this one. This one is to create the color harmony. So for example, if I choose this color, this blue color, this is the color from this one, and this is the hex color that we can use in our tools, and we can choose the harmony. So the first harmony is the complementary. The complementary is the color that get across two other color in the color wheel. So the harmony of color is a color theory, a theory of colors that can seen as a harmonious color. So sometimes it goes into the color palette. What kind of color that can be put together well enough. So the first color harmony is the complementary, that is goes across this one. This used sometimes to create a contrast color, but the color itself have the same tone. So if I choose the complementary color from this blue color, it will get this orange color that goes around across in here. So the combination of this color, sometimes it will be contrast. It's good for maybe if you want to have a contrast color. So one of this one is a background and one of this color is the accent color. Or if you want to use something for the title, the combination of the title, or maybe if you want to use for the logo, you can use this the complementary color. And then the second one is the monochromatic. So the monochromatic is the color that have the like a descendants of the chosen color. For example, this blue color have this monochromatic. As you can see, the result is not very different, but it have complement each other. It have the same tone, but it's just one tone below it. Or if you want to use the color that works well together and it stays on the same space like this one, you can use this analogous. Analogous will choose the color beside the chosen color. So this color can use for maybe if you want to use like the combination color that for the icons, you can use this one. Or the split complementary, it's the same with the complementary, but it have two more colors. So you can have complementary in 3 colors, something like that. Or triadic. This one is the same as complementary, but it goes across for these 2, for these 3 color to have a different contrast color, but in the same tone. Or if you need 4, you can use tetradic, something like that. So yeah, that is the addition for the color. So because we still have 4 minutes, I will explain to you what we will do in the next 2 days, because we have some just a limited time for our workshop. So we will create an improvement from one of these submitted video, and that is for this one, the SDG implementation, the localization way to Myanmar Sustainable Development. We don't have any specific reason why we choose this one. This one is chosen by random, not by score or anything else. We will create, we will choose this video as the video that we will be improving, but not all the video because we don't have much time. So to summarize, we will creating something like this for the next 2 days. So for you to put in mind, this is not the entire new video. So this is just an improvement from the said video before, and we will using the same style, using the same storyline, but just the improved version of it. So we will create like 1 minute 25 second video that it's more or less looking like this.
SDG implementation, the localization way to Myanmar Sustainable Development. The SDG's 2030 agenda, in which goals and targets, is being implemented by all countries around the world including Myanmar. SDG indicators data were produced by Myanmar Central Statistical Organization, that is the starting point of SDGs. In order to accomplish these agenda, Myanmar Sustainable Development Plan, 2018 to 2030, was launched by the government of Myanmar with a theme of peaceful, prosperous, and democratic Myanmar. Pillar 1, Peace and Stability. Pillar 2, Prosperity and Partnership. Pillar 3, People and Planet. The Myanmar Sustainable Development Plan is created based on Sustainable Development Goals Framework Plan. There are 13 task teams to develop the national indicator framework that have been conducted with aligned ministries and international organizations by Central Statistical Organization, CSO, as the leading agency.
Okay, that is the preview that what we will create in 2 days. So everything that goes in here, we will create it from scratch, and you can access all the materials in this one. I think Batari already give you the link, but I will give you the link also in the chat room in case you don't have it. So every files that needed to be created, the video in here, that is the Adobe Illustrator file, because we are using the Adobe Illustrator to creating the scene. We can use this one, and then the After Effects project file folder. If you open this one, there is a scene 1 folder, scene 2 folder, scene 3, and this is all a milestone if you want to create from the scene 1 to scene 7. So in case that maybe that you cannot follow along the workshop, maybe you missed the one that goes from until scene 3, you can open up this one, and you already have all the animation started from scene 3 and before. So in scene 3, it's already have scene 2 and scene 1, and so on for the other one. And we already have the music folder also, and the voiceover folder. So for tomorrow, I will explain it to you from the scratch. So for creating the scene in Illustrator, importing it into the After Effects, and also how to create the voiceover like before with the free version. So we can have the voiceover for free using the AI voiceover in online tools. So you can use the voiceover in your video as well. Okay, that's it. One more thing. So for tomorrow, we will use Adobe Illustrator and Adobe After Effects. So if you already have the Adobe Illustrator installed and the After Effects, it will be good. But if you don't have it, you can follow along the technical notes in here. I already put the link also in this one. So I will copy the link into the chat room also. You can follow these technical notes. In these technical notes, there is instruction on how you download the Adobe After Effects and Adobe Illustrator. If you already have an Adobe account, you can have it like 30 days trial. Or if you already have missed out your trials, already use up all your trial, there is some instruction also. So you just create another account with using another email, and then just download it using the new account. So you will have 30 days of trial, or you can subscribe with the Adobe subscription. Okay, I think that's it from me. I will give the floor back to Pak Eka.
Pak Eka, I think you're still muted.
Okay, thank you, Dharma, for sharing your insight about 10 video of IMS. Thank you too for explaining about next today's workshop, and also it answer the question from one IMS regarding necessity to install the software. So basically, we recommend participant to install the software and follow the step will be shared. But if you cannot follow the step-by-step sharing by Mr. Dharma, Dharma already prepared the file for each milestone. So you don't have to worry to left behind in the material. Okay, Dharma, thank you. And our colleague, we end session for today and meet again tomorrow at the same time. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak. Thank you all. See you tomorrow.